Hey there, welcome back to Mocktails with Marina. I'm your host, Marina, and today, as of this recording, it is July 8th, 2024, and in my world, that is a special thing, and if you are here, I want it to be a special thing for you, because today is the day that the Modern Mocktail presents Functional Mixology Method. It is officially live, and this podcast is not a sales pitch at all whatsoever. And in fact, I want to kind of just take you behind the scenes and talk to you about the methodology that, my husband and I used to build our menu for our company. So I'm going to start by reading you some excerpts from an article that I wrote that just came out this week for the Dry Atlas. And then after that, I just want to give you some kind of context and backstory to all of the offers that we've created, and why. Again, not because this is not a sales pitch, but it's to show you what was going on in our business, what money have we literally waged on and put on a bet on ourselves through the menu that we've put out there for people, and how have people responded to our menu. Now, I understand that most people who are listening to this podcast are owners of bars, bottle shops, CPGs, or maybe you're just an industry insider that's really interested in all of these topics. But that being said, even though you're not offering an online course, for example, or an online program geared towards executives and entrepreneurs, we still have to tell stories. And, sometimes understanding the mechanism behind other people's stories and sales funnels and functions within their business can help you better see your own through some sort of reflection. I know that my brain definitely works that way, so I wanted to open up a little bit and give you guys some of that background. So I want to start by talking a little bit more about functional mixology, what it is, so that you can understand the essence of the program, so that you can really understand my backstory and how that fits into the menu process. So this article I wrote for Dry Atlas is called What Makes a Great Non-Alc Menu. I will make sure that this is linked in the description so you can check this out at your own leisurely pace, but it starts out as following, as whatever. If you came here for a little black book of the best non-alc menu choices, thinking that there's a one-size-fits-all menu approach for non-alc consumers, I'm so excited to steer you into an infinitely more interesting direction and menu creation methodology. Creating an exceptional non-alc menu is both an art and a science. It's about more than just offering alternatives to traditional alcoholic beverages. It's about creating a unique and engaging experience that appeals to all patrons, whether they're abstaining from alcohol for health reasons, personal choice, or simply looking for something different. Here are some key elements to consider, inspired by the principles of the functional mixology method. What is functional mixology? Functional mixology is the art of crafting beverages that blend great taste with wellness benefits. This approach uses high-quality functional ingredients such as adaptogens, nootropics, and various botanicals to create drinks that can change our state to a varying degree and improve overall well-being. By focusing on diversity, creativity, and presentation, functional mixology offers a holistic drinking experience that combines flavor and function in every beverage. Notice that this definition is broad enough to include the ease of operations behind the bar, ensuring these drinks are functional for the business too. A functional mixologist not only focuses on the wellness benefits for the customer, but also considers the practicality and efficiency for bartenders. By using ingredients that are easy to source and prepare, and by designing drinks that streamline the bartending process, the functional mixology method of creating a great non-alc menu ensures that offering these beverages is both sustainable and profitable for the business. So, I have a few main tips here that you can read more deeply when you read the article, but basically there are 6 main pieces of advice that I say here. And step 1, curate a flavor journey. right? I talk about this a lot in my workshops. I made a whole workshop series in June about the whole menu creation process, and I talk about, there's all these different stories and different personas, different tales that have withstood the test of time, right? Think of the hero's journey and all the different fairy tales that have come from it, and how many different iterations of those exist now. It's the same kind of thing that you can apply to your menu. It seems like so silly, like how is there room on a piece of paper for all of this? But you don't need to use words to create a flavor journey, right? There's so many more senses that we can use to communicate. We don't only need to speak with words necessarily. There can also be other types of visuals, but it's a sensational process, right? Which leads me to the second point. Very important in designing your menu as an experiential roadmap to highlight functional benefits. So being super clear about what the benefits of each drink are. And again, not only just being straightforward with that in terms of like, it makes you feel energized, but perhaps there's a lightning bolt next to it. There's other symbology or colors or something that you're using on your menu to show people in multiple ways like what that function is. You have to understand that there are so many different learners out there, so many different people with different communication styles, that if you're only thinking of like putting a list on a piece of paper, like, man, a lot of people know English, but that doesn't mean that they know how to they're all going to read that the same way. If you give 10 people a set of directions to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, they're going to make different peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. So just throwing that out there. Now, third tip I give here for designing your menu as an experiential roadmap is to create signature experiences. So specifically developing signature drinks that encapsulate the essence of your menu, but are also really easy to make. You can make a lot of them. They're easy to source, great ROI, and really figuring out what that is. Now, granted, that's something that can take time, especially if you haven't been in business before, but having that as a goal so you can move towards that and have a place on a menu where that's going to live, it's only a matter of time before the perfect recipe will emerge. So moving into the next tip here, it's all about introducing seasonal and thematic variations. So we always recommend having both a standard and seasonal menu so that you have different functions for different reasons and different times, and you're capturing different audiences. So what I mean by this is there are some people who they need that consistency 24/7, 365, right? And that's what your standard menu is. But then seasonally, you need to have something that helps people become introduced to potential new options, or, just what's more seasonally available to you. Maybe there was this ridiculous sale and you have this backstock of something and now you need to get rid of it. Whatever it is, there's reasons for many places to have variation. And you can even extend this to a to-go menu, an event menu, a catering menu, and beyond, an online store menu. I mean, you can have as many revenue streams as you want. We could talk about having an infinite amount of menus so long as they're all focused towards the right people. You wouldn't want to give 12 menus to each person. You'd rather find 12 people that each menu is very specifically made for, because then you're going to be guaranteed to make the most amount of sales, right? So we have to be smart about what menus we're making, why we're making them, and who they're for. But that being said, having that seasonality and standardization will help you on all fronts. The next point here, the next tip, is all about considering interactive and customizable options. So, having some sort of build your own option, giving people some semblance of control is going to be great for multiple reasons, especially because in a lot of non-alc third spaces, there is a very large regular community, more than a lot of other businesses, especially because sober people don't have a lot of places in public to hang out in this way. So they're going to naturally be around more, which means that they're going to get to know your menu the best. They're going to be most cost effective. So if you have people who are kind of ordering off menu anyway, you might as well do a build your own. So it's just front and center. Hey, this is everything I have. Whatever combination you want to do it in, I'm being straightforward about how much that's going to cost and what that is and what we have. And then that's also going to challenge you to be more efficient with all of the ingredients that you do have on queue. The final tip I have here just ties it all back together with incorporating storytelling elements. So if we started this by talking about curating a flavor journey, how do we tie a story, a transformative experience to that in order to inspire people to feel so different, not only because they feel refreshed by something that they had and the function in their beverage functioned to them in whatever way, but also they mentally just feel better because you have provided them with a thing to think about, a fruit for thought, right? And so you satiated their mind, body, and soul in that way. And that is the holistic, functional mixology method, right? So all of that being said, now I'm going to take you into more of a behind the scenes tour of our menu. Understanding that this is the functional mixology menu, we built this for a very specific reason, but it was not the first thing that our business created. So here's what I mean by that. The 6 months that we have been in business, we have created a total of 3 major programs. The first program is Effortless Operations, the second one is Bula Boss, and the third one is Functional Mixology Method. The first, Effortless Operations, was made while I was freshly coming out of my time as Chief Operations Officer of a kava bar chain. So while this program is so incredibly helpful for so many people, and Effortless Operations truly covers so many integral operational processes that I believe that 80% of businesses are just absolutely missing and leaving thousands of dollars on the table for, it's really difficult sometimes for us to convey what that course is all about if you're not already in the know. Like if you're not already in that foundational setting and reconfirming mental stage of your business yet, then it's going to be hard to understand what Effortless Operations is. And while it's at its core, at its quickest elevator pitch, it's a Chief Operations Officer training for the non-alc service industry, a lot of people may feel that that is something that is not quite necessary. But what they do know is necessary is what Bula Boss offers. And I'll get to Bula Boss in a second. Because I also want to mention this. Even if someone is brand new in business, there are many entrepreneurs that get stuck in this like Peter Pan-esque syndrome of forever remaining in the discovery phase or starting phase of their business. And they do that because they get stuck either in fear or in fringe. So by getting stuck in fear, I mean maybe they're control freaks or they're scared of commitment or they can't focus. Like a combination of all the things that keeps them in the I need to do everything the whole time, and that keeps people small. It keeps them in the early phase of the business. It to them keeps them safe when in reality they're actually crumbling their foundation. On the other hand, some people get stuck in this discovery phase or starting phase for far too long because they're in a fringe. So they're committed, but the regulatory and legal aspects of the industry throws them off balance, so it makes them feel like they can't really gain traction. And regardless of whether entrepreneurs get stuck in that discovery phase or starting phase for far too long, whether that was out of fear or fringe, doesn't matter. Effortless Operations literally is the key for pretty much all back-end aspects of your business, and you may not even recognize the tools that you don't need, but they're all in there because it literally is about building out your entire operational dashboard. So that was the very first program that we had built because we were we'd freshly come off of being on the executive team for this kava bar chain. And so I was like, hey, I'll just make an SOP on the job I just had so that if anybody going into it, they know how to do it. And a lot of this came from the fact that as I left the last company, both myself and my husband, that we were working for, we didn't just leave them hanging. We provided as much training as the last of our contract had, and to continue in that spirit, I wanted to continue to provide as many resources for as many companies that needed that help as possible, because I recognized that in the entire industry, there were many non-alc spots opening. They're all grassroots at this point. I mean, now people are starting to get the hint that this should be a nationwide type thing. But since it was so fringe for so long, it's always been mom and pop. And because of that, like, a lot of mom and pops don't understand how to, I'm not saying corporatize everything, but get everything to an effortless state. Like, make your operations so legit that the family doesn't have to all slave away at the shop the whole time. Everybody can work just 15 hours a week, and we can all go on family vacation to the Bahamas or Hawaii or wherever we want to go, So that's the whole point of effortless operations, but that's very difficult to advertise sometimes, and not everybody who needs it knows that they need it. So there were many motivations that had us start Bula Boss, our second program. So this second course was made due to the fact that I knew that a lot of people wanted to open kava bars and non-alc lounges, but didn't know what they didn't know. And even those who have established third spaces were dealing with hyper-complex logistical knots due to operating on the fringe. So whether people were new or not, everybody needed help in this weird part of our industry because it's new and it's emerging. And so we're all on the same page, whether you started 10 days or 10 years ago. I think we're all on a new wave together right now. It's a great equalizing force. So Bula Boss became the very popular, pretty packaged catch-all container for not only knowledge, but for a network of entrepreneurs. So Bula Boss contains live calls and group sessions that are the place for owners and operators to be around like-minded people who understand the complexity of your specialty business. So very easy for me to get for a lot of people to naturally be drawn to this program. And from there, then they understand what effortless operations is, and then they go there. And then, so it becomes a one-stop business in a box kind of a shop. And this is wonderful. This is the goal. And now like Bula Boss kind of helped seal that deal. So everything felt really whole and complete. And while Bula Boss does have a lot of information on building menus, I still had this issue where my inbox was getting really full of menu design inquiries from people who weren't operating kava bars, but they still wanted to understand on how on earth we were doing over here, like all of our weird non-alc bevies. Like, how do we make these? Like, what are we doing? But it didn't make sense for me to put them in the Bula Boss program because that's not the type of entrepreneur that they are. So after a little think tank sesh with my husband, we decided to create the functional mixology method, which, I explained all the things about that. So it really, even though a lot of that material, some of that material is covered in Bula Boss, but the functional mixology method goes way deeper, and it includes a consultation session with me. And if you take the Bula Boss program, you literally get the functional mixology method at almost 50% off. So it's point of this story is whether you are a full-on kava bar or non-alc lounge or bottle shop, or you're just like a Chili's and you're just trying to learn, the functional mixology method opened up the door for people to, no matter what their context is, to learn this menu stuff without having to learn all the other weird odds and ends about, some of the brick and mortar that they may all be all good on because they may be already an established place. Again, I'm imagining places there's Hiltons all over the world, and their non-alc menus are terrible. And I wish, and I'm working real hard on figuring out who the right contact is in that company to learn the functional mixology method, because I can't wait until the next time that my husband and I are sitting on the Waikiki beach and we are sipping on something delicious, that it's actually something that's delicious and refined and sophisticated. And the thing is, the functional mixology method, it's a direct response to being a tired, sober consumer wishing to feel excited about the options presented. It's a direct response to living in a desert that's so dehydrating that even if you did drink alcohol, you'd get hungover before you'd even get drunk. So what's in your cup here can really be the difference between a good day and a heat stroke. This is a direct response to being sold poorly made products that have made me so sick that I didn't know how to trust going into public at all for months. Like, I have a hard time. I've been a city girl for many, many years, and over the past few years, something about it became so overwhelming that now my husband and I have a second home in the middle of nowhere. And, it can be really easy to hibernate out here for months without going in, even though, like, Vegas is only like an hour away from here. And, like, Phoenix is just the other way. Like, it's because when you feel like you're constantly being poisoned, and you just want to feel healthy, and you just want to detox, get everything out. You just want to know that you can trust a menu and you can go somewhere and actually have something delicious. The functional mixology method is a direct response to feeling ostracized by society for not wanting to poison myself with the subpar options that I know that we can easily and cost effectively do so much better. And how do I know? Because we did it. We've run a bar and built a menu with difficult ingredients during a post-COVID time when we can't trust supply chains and shipping fees are through the roof. We've found ways to make delicious, inspiring, memorable mocktails that enhance experiences without sabotaging the business's bottom line. So in my eyes, building this resource has given people no excuses to ever serve any more drinks that do not make people feel better than they did before they arrived. So this love letter of functional mixology method goes out to everyone that understands exactly what I'm saying here. I am very excited to kind of have shown you the process, because something that's really important to note here is some people get stuck in this discovery phase because the business plan. Oh, I need to write the perfect business plan. I need to know the future. No one knows the future. I'm pretty sure that, when my husband and I, when we were writing up our business plan, which we didn't really need to because we didn't borrow money from any banks or anything, right? So we kind of just had like our own little makeshift kind of plan. And the thing is, anytime that I talk to anybody about any of their business plans, it ends up being something to look back at and laugh about, because while sometimes we can be right about certain parts about it, it's a big shot in the dark. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what the world has in store for you, your market. Even something that seems safe ends up not being so safe. A lot of industries come and go, and the thing is, you got to be flexible. And so business plans, I think they're funny. I don't know. It's funny how hard, some lenders make you work for something that, like, as if you could see the future. You can do a lot of research, don't get me wrong, but if I were to talk to January 1st, 2024 version of me, who, that wasn't that long ago, half a year ago, and I said, hey, by the time July comes around, you're going to have built 3 major programs. And by the way, Effortless Operations is 3 programs in one. So technically, I've built 6 programs over the course of the last 6 months. I'm exhausted. But I'm very motivated, and I still do have a lot of inspiration to build a couple more, to build the whole suite so that no matter where you're coming from, you have resources. Side note, the 2 that are going to come out, one of them is going to be Kava Tender 101. So it's like a training toolkit that if you own a kava bar or a non-alc lounge, you can literally just like sit your staff in front of the TV, just like in the old days. If you're a millennial like I am or older, and you had those old TVs wheeled into your classroom and they put Bill Nye or some other, School of Rock or Schoolhouse Rocks, whatever that was. Those videos on the screen where you learn, it's the same kind of concept, right? You can just park them, and I will teach so many aspects about this industry to help see things from another perspective. It's not that you're not a good teacher, it's that sometimes your staff need to hear it from other people in order for things to kind of click. And that's what I'm here for. I am here to help all the things. The other program we're coming out with is all about creating your own CPG. So if you're looking to create your own bottled or canned beverage, or even it's a functional treat of some kind. I work very closely with an incredible lab, and this whole program coming out not only teaches you the whole process, but it also includes your first consultation session with myself and the lab to get you started on your dream, or at least to get all the information you need. So the point of the story is, 6 programs, 2 more coming, 8 total by time this year is up. Oh my God, 8 programs was not in the business plan, you guys, at all. I think we had 2 in mind. But then ideas and requests came in, and we, the most important thing about business is you're not, if you're going into business to sell whatever you want to sell and what you want to do, it's all fine and dandy to pick your category, but you can't be picky on the details, or else you may not have a lot of business at all. And I mean that in the most loving way possible, because the thing is, you don't know how people need help until they tell you, and you can only guess until that point. So start out by putting your heart out there and then see how people respond to it. And I'm not saying the negative people, I'm saying the people that are helped by it, or the people who ask more questions. Those are the only people that you have to listen to. That's it. That is it. Those are the only people I listen to when it comes to further developing what's on our menu, right? Because what people want, what people have, if they have the energy to ask you the question, they're going to have the energy to follow through, because they've told you what the pain point is. And if you make something valuable enough to overcome that pain point, they will come. They will come hang out with you, and they will hang out at your business and, participate in that. Because you're offering something that they desperately need. Thank you guys so much for listening to this super fun story. I love these solo episodes to get to hang out with you, but I really love being in conversation with people and learning more. So all of that being said, send me an email, please, if you are a listener. The thing is, I look at all of the statistics here. There are over 1,000 listens to this podcast, and I haven't had many emails yet. And I really want to encourage you, when I say reach out to me at hello@marinamars.com, I mean it. If you have any questions, if you have any pain points, if you don't even know what you're struggling with, but you just kind of have some curiosities or questions about the industry, please do not hesitate to reach out, because I love magic emails. I'm going to close out this episode with some fun stories about emails. I think that sending emails, even if you don't know why or what the purpose is, or you just leave it open-ended and you're like, hey, yeah, I'll reach out to my favorite singer of all time, even though they have millions of fans. You never know what could happen. You truly never know what can happen, you guys. I've had multiple careers in my life, and for my longtime listeners, you know that I had run away with the circus. I was a traveling performer and event producer, and I landed in Las Vegas for a few years, won some medals, did some cool things. And during that time, the thing is, it's not like there's an agency you walk into when you arrive in Las Vegas or in LA or wherever you're at in showbiz, and you're like, hi, I'm here to do work and performance stuff. That's not how it works. You have to figure out what shows are in town, what production companies, what dance studios. You figure out how you contact them, and then you talk to whoever's in charge at everything. And then you say, hey, can I be a part of this? What's the process? Is there an audition? Is there, can we have a meeting? What do we got to do here to make something happen? And sometimes people won't respond back. Sometimes you have to literally go, drive in real life. You can't sit behind your little computer screen. You have to get out into the world and talk to people and, knock on doors and, just... You go on these weird quests and you're like, okay, I've arrived. And, I feel like that's somewhat of a magic that has been lost with the internet. So I just want to throw that out there. Not only are sending emails a cool idea, but going out into the world and, interacting with anything that inspires you or that you have more questions about. But again, coming back to my context, because I am very much on the internet and I am not in a specific place right now. But point of this is, if I had never sent certain emails that would have given me the directions to those ridiculous journeys, there are many things in life that I would have never experienced, and I may not have ended up here with you right now. And that's crazy to think about. So, one time when I first moved to Vegas, I have two little email stories here. One, one of my favorite pole dancers that I loved watching, and she has been working with Cirque du Soleil for, at least a decade at this point. And, I just thought that she was awesome, and I had just moved to Vegas. I really, I had my laboratory daytime job, but that was remote. So I got to do everything on my laptop during the day. So I was doing my nightlife performance and production career at night. And so I'd reached out and I had said, hey, I love everything that you do. If you need help with anything, if you're working on any personal circus projects or whatever, I don't know, I'm a fan. I'm here to help. I have these skill sets, and I just moved here from Wisconsin. So I'm just a small town girl, just trying to do the thing. And then she replied to me, and I became her production assistant. And, she's been working in Vegas for so long that she'd ended up developing this production company that had other Cirque du Soleil artists come to the stage and perform whatever they wanted. So those of you who aren't aware of how Cirque du Soleil works, they have to do the same routine 14 times a week. They don't have creative room. They do the same routine 14 times a week, every week for years straight, the same exact routine. So if, as artists, they want to have their own stages off the strip that they go and perform at, not under Cirque du Soleil. It's usually a very black box theater kind of a vibe, underground kind of a thing. And, from there you get to see the artists do their true, form, and it's just, the most magic thing. And so I got to do that. And I also, with this beautiful artist, I also got to do the Pole Expo Friday night big show in Las Vegas. So I got to help produce that, and that was huge. It was a sold out event. And it had all of the world's best performers that had all won all of the medals. And it was just the coolest thing. And all of that came from an email. And there was another email I had sent to another pole dancer, because again, at the time, that was everything that I was learning and doing. And so I thought this other one was such a badass, and I wanted to train with her, and I wanted her to help me win my medals. And so she pushed me so hard, and she ended up becoming such a good friend. And then, I flew to Hawaii to go to her wedding with my husband, and that was amazing. And none of that would have happened if I didn't send an email to sign up for a class. I literally, both of these women I'm talking about, they both had pole dancing classes that I attended their classes, and, through that whole class process, you get their email, and then I sent these emails and more things happen, that's how dreams and careers are made and how they happen. So don't be afraid. If you want to make something happen and you want to make movement, even if you just need a think tank for a second, that truly is my specialty. Because the thing is, and I'm going to leave the lesson here, everything you need for business is not rocket science. And even rocket science is not as difficult as people make it out to be. It's just, if you focus on it long enough, you'll figure out the details, right? When it comes to all the tools and all the things to make your business work, you can do it for sure. The hard part is the psychology and the mindset and the think tank of it all to make it all work in a way that doesn't drive you freaking crazy, burn you out, or make your staff feel like shit. Because quite frankly, that's what happens when leaders get burnt out. They think that they're doing everything with good intention, and then they turn into rotten people who treat people terribly. And then they get all paranoid, and then there's not a good entrepreneurial community because everyone's closed off and competitive. And that's horrible. No one wants to feel that way. That sucks. Even just talking about it makes my gut hurt, and I don't want to leave you with that. I want to leave you feeling inspired and feel like there is a safe place to get rid of those feelings and feel empowered through doing so, instead of muting them through some sort of fear or shame. Instead, igniting them, setting them on fire, letting them go, and transmuting them into a productive, calm energy that has faith in the process, because you have a strong foundation and you know where you're going. You have your North Star and you have your dashboard, your operations dashboard set up. I got you. I'm here to help you figure out what all the details are. And even if you have a lot of details figured out and you just want to talk, that's what I'm here for. So on that note, I hope you have a great rest of your week, and cannot wait until we talk again next week. So if you need anything, just let me know.